all day.
What's up, guys? I wanted to do a kind of a beginner video, so if you've been in the game a while, you might not learn much here, but keep getting a bunch of questions and a bunch of inquiries, especially from my last TikTok post there, trying to tell you what you need to get started, because a lot of people think that you need a lot of high-end things or you need specific apps or tools to get started, and some of that stuff is useful down the road. And if you listen to other like tenured resellers, they're gonna steer you in that direction, and that's the right direction, but it's so far down the road that it kind of intimidates some of you from getting started, I think. And you know, they'll tell you need stuff that when you're first starting out you just absolutely don't need. I made my first $40,000 just taking pictures on a cardboard box using a bed sheet. So that should tell you everything you need to know. If there's a will, there's a way. You can get better at that kind of stuff, but when you're just starting off, don't focus on the reasons why you can't. Just do it and figure out what works. And that's probably an important thing to interject here and say, is that if you don't have any like personal interior, like internal figuring shit out ability, like problem solving ability, then this isn't your game. I know it looks like easy money. It's not easy money, by the way. I know it looks like easy money, and you think anybody can do it. But if you lack that, and you know, some of you come from that Gary Vee school of thought, self-awareness, understand that like you aren't going to be good at this and you should try something else. But I don't want to say anything too negative. Like, you should try as many things as possible, but just understand that if you aren't a figuring shit out type of person, you're going to struggle at this, because there's going to be a lot of things that you just have to like be creative and figure out a way, like a cardboard box on a bed sheet, like, right? Like, I didn't want to invest a bunch of money, and I don't recommend you do that first. Stay bare bones, keep your overhead cost as low as possible. Like I said, 40 grand off of a cardboard box and a bed sheet, and then as I made more money, I reinvested that into things like this light ring that's looking at me right now. So yeah, like, what do you need? So my first investment was $60, and so I think a lot of the questions I get are like, how do I get started with not a lot of money, I think is one I got, or no money. How do you do this? What app do I need to scan for prices? That's a very popular one. There's no app. I'll get to that in a minute. What tools do I need? What stuff do I need? Like, you know, how do I do this when I'm broke? And that's the whole point. Like, you can do this when you're broke. There is no barrier to entry. So what you need is a phone. You don't need a fancy camera. You don't need any of that like light box or light ring or any of that stuff right away. You just need an iPhone or maybe an Android, but preferably an iPhone because they're just better, right? That might be controversial, I don't know, but I like them better. So yeah, they're better in my opinion. They're easier to use, and so you just need a phone, but you could use whatever phone you want. That probably the one with the best camera, whichever one that has. And you just need some type of area to take pictures that doesn't look ratty. But I took a lot of like pictures on the floor and on the cardboard box. And like I said, we cleared easily 40 grand in 6 months doing that, and it was nothing. So that was good, right? So like I said, that should ease your mind that you don't need like this high-end dollar stuff. But so I'd say you need a phone, right? You need some type of printing device, and an ink or a label printer, a Dymo 4XL 4x6 inch label printer is the best cost-effective way, but you can just use whatever printer you have on hand at the moment, like an inkjet or a LaserJet. The reasons why eventually you're gonna want that label printer are costs, right? Like, it's a lot more, like a thermal printer, the Dymo 4XL that I'm talking about, it just like prints heat onto the surface of this special type of paper, and it doesn't use ink at all. So you never have to buy anything again except for the rolls of paper, which you can get on Amazon. You can get like 20 rolls, and each roll has 220 orders on it essentially, and it costs like $10 or $15. It's ridiculous. So you're paying like 10 cents, not even like a cent an order or 10 cents an order or something. I gotta do the math to understand it, but I can't just like spitball it off the top of my head. But it's very low cost compared to like an ink cartridge and a printer that runs out every 50 orders, and it costs you $32 to replace the ink cartridge. So $32 every 50 orders, you're almost paying like, you know, like $1 an order to print those, or Maybe you get 100 orders out of it and you're paying 50 cents an order, but that's still a lot of money to just be using just an ink, not to mention the piece of paper that you're only using half of but wasting, right? Like, so there's a lot of factors there that'll cut costs down the road, but just to get started, you can just use Scotch tape and a like a 8x11 white piece of paper that prints out the label and cut it out there with scissors and tape it on there, and you're good to go. Like I said, we did that probably our first $20,000, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need a label printer. So wait till you build up some income and then buy those things, right? Like buy those things with your flip money, and it feels a lot better too to do that, by the way. And you know, next thing you know, you'll have all the things you need and you never paid a dollar for them, right? Like you built them organically. So like I said, you don't need all those things. You just need some type of device to print on. You need your phone. And on your phone, you're going to want to download the app that you want to use. And I recommend eBay because it's the easiest. And actually, Mercury or however you want to say that, might even be easier. There's less people using it, so the sales are slower, but it's easier shipping wise. You don't have to weigh, measure, or do any of that. If you do choose to do eBay, then you're going to want like a tape measure, like, you know, just a regular like tools tape measure you can get at Lowe's or whatever. You probably have one in your garage. And ask your dad too. Like dads always have those things. And so you need one of those, and then like a DigiScale. And so this should be not like Pablo Escobar's DigiScale. Like you want the mailing type of DigiScale, right? Like get the one that's for mailing, not fucking Pablo Escobar's like cocaine scale. No, you don't want that one. Get the regular mailing one, because the reason is that other one's just too small. Like you can't put large packages on this little scale that's like this big, right? Like it just doesn't work. Not that I've tried, but I'm just saying, like, I know that it doesn't work because I've seen what kind of scales are out there to buy, and that's not the one you want. You want the larger one that you can fit items on. And those are like $20 at Walmart. So get that. That way you can measure the dimensions of the package and weigh them, and that's all you need to punch into eBay to know how much it costs to ship the item. Do that, like you can do that on eBay before you sell the item, so that way the buyer pays that and not you, right? And so there's no like worry there. So all you've needed is your iPhone and a cardboard box and like a bed sheet, a printer, and yeah, and that was pretty much it, right? Like, yeah, and the app that you want to sell on, and a DigiScale and a tape measure, right? I think I've got you in this game for $20 or $30 max, right? You're in, and you only need. And so how do you get inventory now for cheap? Start at the low end. Go to thrift stores. Go to yard sales, and go to estate sales and stuff like that, places that you can buy bulk. Go to yard sales on Sunday and ask them what items they didn't sell or they have to get rid of, or sometimes they'll just put them out on the curb for free. Grab them. That's your free inventory. It might not be the best stuff in the world, but it'll get you a start, a boost. And like I said, I started this whole flip journey with a $60 investment. The way I did that was I just took $60 and told people I'd buy their closet or their garage or whatever it was. I'd buy it for 50 cents a pound. And those hauls I got with that initial $60 made me over $1,000. And I was able to reinvest that into more of that. And it got to the point where I didn't even need to buy people's closets. I could just go buy retail ARB or whatever I wanted with the money. And it was fine. So that is how you can get started. If you have $0 to start, right, and you have most of the other things I said, go get free books and list them on Amazon, because you can't really go wrong selling books on Amazon as long as you sell them as the quality that they are. Like if they're used, sell them as used. If they're new, sell them as new. And don't lie. Don't ruin your reputation online selling, right? That's the other thing that you need to know going into this. Like, don't like ruin your whole reputation over a couple bucks, right? Like, don't try to pass something off as new when it's used, because it's going to make you $10 more, and that's going to ruin people's perception of you for the rest of your time online. It's not fucking worth it, right? It's just not worth it. Just sell things honestly, and try to be as forthcoming as possible with them, and you'll end up with fewer returns, fewer headaches, more sales, more repeat buyers, and eventually you'll build a brand that people know they can trust. And when they're online looking for you, they'll look for your store, right? So I have ranted a lot about different stuff that really wasn't relevant, but I think I got you started, and I told you some things that you can do to start this game. Make sure that you go, when you have your app that you've chosen, and say you chose eBay, or maybe you want to sell clothes on Poshmark, or maybe you want to sell sporting goods on Sideline Swap. Now you want to like actually take a product. There's no scanner that you need that's going to tell you everything. What there is on Amazon or on eBay, you can use a barcode scanner, or you can scan an item, or you can manually type it in, right? And you can just like look up what the item is. You got to know what you're holding using a model number, a serial number, a sneaker tag, whatever it's going to take to know exactly what you're holding. There's no magic like let's look at this. Well, the Amazon app actually does that. You can hold it just to a product, and sometimes it'll know what it is. It's crazy, but nonetheless, there's no like app that's going to tell you prices like that. Like, you need to do the research yourself. So you look up an item, and like I think you saw in my TikTok video, I looked up the Yeezy 350 V2 Clouds, which I would never sell on eBay. I did that for shock value because I knew a lot of people would see Yeezys and be like, oh, that's cool. But really, I would sell those on StockX. You go on StockX and you can see what somebody's willing to pay for your size Yeezy right there on the spot, and then you just sell it to them, and the sale's complete. And you can check out my other video on how to do that. But you can do that on like shoes that release too, and people make a lot of money doing that. I've done it a little bit. Gets a little pain in the ass waiting in some of those rooms, and I don't have a bot. So but yeah, so you just want to look up the sold prices on whatever app you're using, figure out, that's assessing your market, figure out what the item you have that you're holding in your hand sells for, and now you know what it's worth, and now you know what to sell yours for. And what I do sometimes is just undercut everybody by $1, or you know, maybe not. Maybe you're the type of person that's like, I'm going to wait till those lower sellers sell, and then I'm going to jump in and get in here, right? Like, so there's different ways you can do that, and pricing wise, at least you'll have a baseline of what people are paying, and you can kind of decide what you want, how you want to react to that from there, right? But otherwise, you're started, you haven't spent a lot of money, you know how to get free inventory now, and you know how to look up prices. I can't think of any other questions that came along recently that I haven't answered, but that was a very beginner's video, and I think most of you that are just trying to get started and figure things out, that should get you in the game. But if you have any other specific things that you want to know, keep commenting, keep liking and sharing these videos, but definitely keep commenting and telling me specifically what you want to know, because if enough people want to know something, I'll do a video on that and let you guys know how to do it. But for the most part, start where I just told you, download that eBay app, look up sold prices, find the stuff in your closet, because by the time you get done selling your closet, you're going to have experience, and now it's less intimidating to go buy something to sell because you know what's sold in your closet. You know how to ship it now. You know how the fees work, and you didn't spend any money. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you need any other tips, just always give me a message, or shoot me a DM, or leave a comment. But otherwise, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to the page. Tell a friend, and keep flipping. Is it going to turn off? Wait.